Group A is officially wrapped up. We're moving on to the knockout rounds, but let's talk about how these 4 teams finished in Gold Cup's Group A. Before I get into it, though, let me know your comments down below how you felt about your team in this group. For sure, we're going to go fourth through first, covering each team, how I felt about that team. I'm joined with my friend Diego, and let's just get right into it. Suriname in fourth, and I'm going to be honest here. I maybe jumped the gun a little bit because I put them in second place in the prediction video. Just a bit. They finished with 1 point after 3 games, 3 goals scored, 6 conceded. Very unfortunate, but I will say I wasn't the least impressed by this team. A lot of double negatives there. I was still somewhat impressed with the Suriname team, and I can see how this team could still be a very good CONCACAF team in the future. I will stand by the fact that if Suriname was instead in Group D, with USA, Saudi Arabia, Haiti, Trinidad, and obviously one of those has to be removed, I think Suriname might have finished second there. But unfortunately, they did have to deal with likes of Mexico, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, and now they sit in fourth. Diego, how did you feel about Suriname's performance in Group A?
Yeah, they were. You could see flashes of good stuff. I saw some nice movements, but I never saw that end product happening. To be honest, I remember watching that Mexico Suriname game, and every time Suriname would hit them on the break and look dangerous, right? And I liked that they were fast. They would defend deep because they knew Mexico would control the possession and then break. But then every time they broke, it was just such a poor decision making at the final third.
Yeah.
One ball that just got intercepted so many times, like down the line, a shot that just went wide. Like it was never threatening once they got close to goal, which is a shame because I feel like just they don't even have to be super clinical, just a bit more like end product. And all of a sudden you're talking about a game that like Mexico have to be defend a little deeper, or even other teams that they played have to be a little more careful. So unfortunately, it was one of those that I felt like you could see flashes of promise, not enough to alter the entire these 3 games they played, but you could see it, and that's why I agree with you that I feel like they have potential to get to a point where it's like, okay, they can do something, they can kind of be that dark horse, but unfortunately this was not the case.
This was not it.
This is not it. They conceded the most in the group. They did not score a lot. I think just tied with Dominican for least goals. So like it was just not a good showing overall. But I like some stuff. I'll give them that. I'll give Suriname. They have a game plan. They just need to work on it a little.
Yeah, and this team I think is only going to get better from here. They have a plethora, if you will, of dual nationals, the same way Jamaica does, just with Dutch descent. But we're not talking about the future right now. We're talking about the Gold Cup, unfortunately. And Suriname didn't perform how I expected them to. But again, I do want to give them some flowers for some performances. I think that game against Costa Rica, which is still one of, if not my game of the tournament so far, to start off 4-3. Yeah, unfortunate. Suriname maybe could have gotten more from that, but I'm not going to say that that result was unjustified. But Suriname looked good in that one. The game against Mexico, they had good opportunities, and like you said, just didn't take their chances. And yeah, Mexico, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, are corner merchants, set piece merchants, whatever you want. Unfortunate for Suriname, but they should have done more there. And then I think they really could have gotten 3 points at least against Dominican Republic just to finish it off. If that finishing 0-0, I mean, I get it. You're already out of the group. Your heart might not be in it as much anymore, but still, I would have liked to see 3 points there. You're right. Moments of brilliance. Ultimately, though, they're going out last in this group, and which is not what I expected. Not what I expected. Now, to move on to the team that I did expect in fourth place, Dominican Republic. And I'm very happy that they proved me wrong here. I really enjoyed watching this team in this Gold Cup.
I want to say I think they're actually very unlucky to finish third here. Not taking anything away from Costa Rica, Mexico. They were better, but I think Dominican Republic can genuinely be like, man, 1 goal goes our way. Maybe we don't get that red card against Suriname and have to defend a lot. I think so many things you could point to. They were within like 1 goal a game to getting some points that were big points. They had a great game against Mexico, 3-2. They came back, looked like they were completely crushed, and they kind of fought back and made it a tight game. They played against Costa Rica, lost 2-1. They still had a great showing. Stats wise, they attacked as much as they wanted to. And then Suriname, like I said, the red card, which is unfortunate. It always changes the way you play after you lose a man. But I genuinely think they actually were so unlucky to kind of come away not even close to qualifying. I know on paper you're like, oh, they're 6 points off, but like genuinely they were close to change a few, just a few moments go their way, and all of a sudden we're talking maybe differently about this group. And I want to give a lot of credit to Dominican Republic. I was pleasantly surprised by what I saw from them because they were actually They were
Yeah,
good. They were
dangerous.
good.
I would say
Yeah.
dangerous. Like
Yeah.
in that first game against Mexico, right? I had faith in Dominican Republic, but it's Mexico's first game. They're out here to prove that they're
Sure.
still top dog in this region. And I don't want to say Mexico made Dominican Republic good, but Dominican Republic looked pretty good. Yes, some
Mhm.
of that was Mexico wasn't playing to their best football, but 2 goals on Mexico is no small feat. No small feat. That is fantastic. And this is your first Gold Cup. I think they looked fantastic in
Yeah.
their first Gold
Yeah.
Cup. I think this is a team that is by when 2030 comes around, definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with in CONCACAF. They are 100% on the up. It is very obvious, and
Mhm.
teams should be looking out in advance because this is just Dominican Republic are setting the foundation for a really good next 5, 6, 7 years, and they should be proud of that. Again, Dominicans and everyone else didn't expect them to get out of this group to finish third. Yeah, I was on 1 point, but on paper, it doesn't mean everything. They look good against two of the top teams in this region, in Costa Rica and Mexico, and yeah, they drew against Suriname, but so be it. They looked very good. And I'm not going to knock them. I don't think you can knock them in this one, to be
Mhm.
honest. There's no reason to. They were looking solid. And yeah, you're right. Put them in another group, maybe in even Group B with Canada, Curaçao, and them, and obviously Group D, like I mentioned earlier. I think the results changed, and Dominican were given an unfortunate, tougher group, maybe than the average group or so. But I think they did a pretty good job. They
Yeah.
should feel very proud of themselves for this one. But then we can move on to second place, tied with first
Mm.
on points, finishing in second place instead because of goal difference. Costa Rica, Piojo Herrera's Costa Rica, win-win and a draw. Your thoughts, Diego? I mean, the highest scoring team in this group here. Your thoughts on that is what?
Yeah. I mean, they were good. They were good. I look at. I'm gonna get this out of the way first. They should have lost that game against Mexico.
Mm.
I'm gonna put that out there. They should have lost that
Mm-hmm.
game. But a bit of I don't know what the hell that decision was at the end of that game, but a bit of luck there. Keylor Navas
Oh
rolling
my
it back a few
God!
years,
Wow.
back to the Champions League
Champions League
days.
finals right there. He's playing, and I don't
Yeah,
understand.
he was crazy. Great save against Rory Menez. That was insane. So
Mm-hmm.
a bit of luck, but who has never needed some luck? So
Mm.
with that being said, they're going into a game against the USA, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be a tough game. But just from the group themselves, they can hold their own. I think this is a very respectable second place finish. Um, like you said, only goal difference separates them from Mexico, and they could very much have finished first. Now that being said, and I heard this in the Mexico game, the commentator was saying two important players are suspended against the
Mm.
USA.
Okay.
I don't know the names, but they were starters. I think one of them was a defender. I'll have to do more research on that. But I do know that whenever two players that are important to you, especially they were starting the Mexico game, are suspended because of accumulation of cards, um, that's going to be a big hit. But I think because Costa Rica is not one of those teams that relies on star power, relies on a certain player or two, they work as a unit. They know they defend, they attack. They play five at the back often. I've seen so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times they have those wingbacks flying forward when they attack. So like they know how they want to play, and I think we will see that against the USA. And I like them a lot. I like the way they play. They're not afraid to attack. They're not afraid to defend. They do both pretty solidly, to be honest. I give them credit
Yeah.
in both ways, and I think they're going to have a really interesting game against the USA, and we'll see how that one turns out.
Yeah, 100%. And you're totally right. They fully deserved to lose that game against Mexico.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
is a big trend with them and how it always ends up with not many goals scored. But yeah, Keylor Navas was just elite, and is I think without a doubt the best goalkeeper to ever come from the CONCACAF region.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed it here. I mean, obviously we haven't heard from him in years, but he showed it
Yeah,
here, and he was given the chance. And yeah, some amazing saves, particularly that one, that Raul Jimenez one, man.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
part of me wishes Raul scored it just because the highlight would have been
It would have been,
fantastic. But
yeah.
watching the highlight of him saving it instead, also amazing. Costa Rica, I like this team. I'm very happy they're moving forward. They have some really, really key players. I think a lot of players that go under the radar just because they don't play for big
Mhm.
teams. Gaude is one of them. I really like how Gaude plays and how he looks to lead the line for Costa Rica every time. And yeah, the game against the USA, don't knock them, man. I mean, I think on paper, just because bookkeepers don't know soccer, but I think on paper they're going to be heavy underdogs here. Yeah, I think Piojo is going to pull out something really good with this team. Piojo's first tournament in charge, and you finish, in second place based off goal difference, I think you can feel very happy about that. I didn't expect that good of a result. Maybe that wasn't more so for Costa Rica, more hoping like Suriname and Mexico being able to pull out better results against Costa Rica. But still, they looked really, really good. And I'm very happy that they're in second place, like I said, and they can move on with their heads held up high, doing the job they'd have done. If they didn't finish in one of the first two positions, it would have been severely, severely disappointing. But this isn't a case, I think, like Saudi Arabia, the USA, where they got the results, but we're still kind of like, like Costa Rica, they're moving on, and nothing really too bad to say about this team. I'm sure, there are areas they can improve on 100% to make sure they can go farther. I think defensively, like they're very good. Some players, I think, just a little lacking, just a little more compared to others, but it's just finding your groove. And it's been 3 matches now, and they have momentum moving forward. Despite that Mexico, draw, they have momentum going into the next round. USA, like, kind of does, but yet they don't really. I think Costa Rica looking magical, if you will, looking forward to the next round. But let's talk about Mexico now in that first place spot.
Yeah,
and I got some thoughts. On Mexico here. Yes, they finished in first. Yes, they're still probably, in my opinion, the second highest favorite out of all teams in this tournament. But I don't think they played that well. If I mentioned it in the Dominican Republic game that they made Dominican Republic look really good. And no offense to the DR, but they should not have looked that good against Mexico. And that was really down to how Mexico played against them. And attacking wise, I mentioned earlier too, corner and set piece merchants, this team. And hey, goals are goals. You score however you need to score, but it doesn't exude confidence moving forward. I have some stats from you, and this is by Jack of Deadball TV. Shout out Jack. I've been on the channel before. Some stats he tweeted earlier today. Group stage comparison of 2025 Gold Cup and 2023 Gold Cup. In 2023, 16 big chances created, and 38% of that was converted. Only 10 big chances in this tournament so far, with 30% of those being converted. Shots, 74 back in 23, and here only 44 overall. That's 30 less shots overall. Obviously, shots aren't goals, but that is, that means you're not creating as much. Big chances conceded, 1 in 2023, 2 in here. Not the craziest thing in the world, but chances overall conceded, 7. Only 7 chances conceded back in 23. Whereas they conceded 18 chances in 2025. 2 keeper saves, it says, 5 keeper saves this year, and the goal difference was +5 last time and +3 here. So it's very obvious, right? It's very obvious that the statistics are looking worse than that one. You could, and I know people will, you could say that CONCACAF has improved, which it has. 100% it has. Yet, I would have thought so has Mexico from here. Than that point, I would have liked to see a little bit more from Mexico, and those stats, should be more than enough reason to tell you that they aren't going to steamroll the next 3 games that they're going to play. That's what I'll tell you. But I digress. Diego, how did you feel about Mexico playing in Group A of the Gold Cup here?
I'm torn because I felt like there were a lot of moments where they were moving really well, crisp passes, bringing the ball up, a lot of energy to them, and I really like that. But with that being said, I feel like this is becoming a bit of a pattern, but that final third end product was not always there. And, it felt like, and I understand I could tell that they're still trying to figure out that right lineup. They're still trying to figure out, they're changing players in and out here and there. Like they're still figuring out the midfield, still figuring out kind of what wingers they want. And so I think, a lot of it right now is kind of experimenting and figuring out what works. Because they know that like you said, that kind of final third ability is not there yet. Most of the goals, I think, like all of them except one was a set piece, not set piece. So only one was from the open play, and so not great. Obviously, like you said, goals are goals, and at the end of the day, like that's all that matters. But you want to be able to be deadly on both fronts, and so to not be able to score an open play is not the best look. Raul Jimenez is looking amazing, still looking excellent. Had a few open chances that he missed in last game. Not the most characteristic of him, but I honestly don't think it's a big deal. I think he'll bounce back. But I think more, if anything, it's like trying to find the ability to have the other players more involved. I feel like the ones that, especially like, Alexis Vega, there's a lot of hype around him because he had a great season with the Luca. And he has been okay. I mean, like he's been all right. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
think he's been bad, but like considering the crazy numbers he put up and the kind of
Mm.
like putting him over Chino Huerta in the starting 11, I think we need to expect more. I would have liked a goal from him um, in the group stage.
Yeah,
We didn't get one. I don't know if he had an assist. Maybe he had one, but
I think
I
he had
don't
one
think so.
assist.
One assist. So like I think there are other pieces need to get more involved. I think they need to figure out how to do that. They need to figure out what players to use. So I agree with you on that for sure. But I did like the energy. I actually thought they were moving quickly and
Mm-hmm.
not really trying to like sit back too much, which I feel like sometimes I see Mexico to do that, and I like that they were going for it, which potentially may be the reason why they conceded a few more chances. I definitely
It's a
something to
good
look
point.
at. Definitely something to look at. But overall, they're a strong team, right? We know they have really strong players off the bench. I want to give them credit for that. Like
They do.
they bring in subs, and obviously, let's not even the obvious for like Santi Jimenez, and he should have had a crazy winner last night. But they have some good players off the bench, so if they can manage their game plan, and kind of figure out how to get themselves, how to not just get Raul, but everyone else clicking, um, I think we have a dangerous team. But they need to figure it out soon because they're gonna start getting into some tough games. First up is Saudi Arabia,
Saudi Arabia. Saudi
so
Arabia.
they got to break them down, which is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Can they click for that game in time? We will see. Do I think they'll win the game? Yes. Do I think it's a cakewalk? Absolutely not. I think they need to really be locked in, and really make sure that they can. Even though they had a lot of energy and they had some crisp passes, there were a few wayward passes, like any CONCACAF team. Let's be honest, but they just need to make sure
Sure.
that they can't give anything dumb away. Don't give them a cheap giveaway near your final third, and give Saudi Arabia an easy chance to score, because that is exactly what they would try to get Mexico to kind of give up possession, and
Yeah.
Mexico
One
cannot
hundred
play into
percent.
Saudi Arabia's hands there.
100%. And a
Yeah,
few notes here for Mexico. I think you can make some excuses for the attacking, but your highest goal scorer in that group stage was your center back, and
yeah.
Cesar Montes, who had 3 goals. And shout out Cesar Montes. They only really came from set pieces. And if you're good on him for being the reason they got out of that group. But let's say he's not there. Let's say that someone else was playing over Cesar Montes. That's 3 goals taken away, right? And yeah, it's all deliberative. It's all what if, but still, right? Your highest scoring player should not be your center back if you want success in a tournament stage. I can't stay that way moving forward, especially against Saudi Arabia, who have a really good defensive unit. I don't think it can't be staying that way. It needs to start clicking, and I think that's with Javier Guide's selection choices. If I'm being honest, I am enjoying how the midfield. He's doing very well with playing. I think their best midfield that they have is in Chavez,
Mm-hmm.
Edson, and Ruiz. I like that a lot. But unfortunately, you're still starting Jorge Sanchez. This team desperately needs Rodrigo Huescas. If Huescas is not guilty of speeding, this team scores a couple more goals. If I'm being honest, I
Mm.
think Piojo Alvarado on the right wing. I don't particularly like him there. I don't think he's a national team starter. Maybe a depth piece, but even then, maybe the third string. I don't like him particularly starting up there. And also the fact that you're bringing in Charlie Rodriguez. Every time you bring in Charlie Rodriguez, the attack literally stops. There is literally no more. We saw it in the Costa Rica game when he came on. There was zero attack once he came on. Essentially, nothing happened. So I think it's a lot down to selection choices. But I will say it is kind of unfortunate because I don't think we'd be talking about this had Keylor Navas not been starting in goal last game, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think that if they had scored the chances they should have, which could have been 2-3 goals, if not more, then I think we go into the second round feeling a little bit more confident, seeing that Mexico turn it around and they're not relying solely on set pieces, and we wouldn't be talking about them in this way. But that's not what happened. I still need to see just a little bit more moving forward. And like I said, Saudi Arabia is a really good defensive team. Mexico need to finish their chances, and they can't rely on set pieces every single game because you're not going to win a tournament that way. And if they do, holy crap, CONCACAF is screwed and is a bad federation. But Mexico have to improve on that front. 100, 100%. That is the biggest issue for me, as well as making the right selection choices. But we'll see if that happens moving forward. Saudi Arabia could surprise this team. Get a little bit of a World Cup rematch here. Saudi Arabia could come out here and surprise the team with how they play that Mexico might not be expecting. Otherwise, though, like I said, Mexico is still a top 2 favorite for me, right? They go into
Mm-hmm.
this with really good
Yeah.
form. They're still winning games. We said it in the USA thing. USA they're still winning games no matter how they're doing it. You have to give them some consolation for that 100%. Whether they can
I
keep
I
doing
will
it in
say
quarterfinals or not, I don't know.
I think even to both win games. I even like Mexico's play better than the U.S.'s play.
100%.
Um, yes, they were lacking that final product, but I think they would play with some confidence. I think I saw some nice interchange between, especially in that last game, like you said, when they played their strongest midfield, and I agree it's their strongest midfield, Alvarez,
Hmm.
Ruiz. I like Ruiz a lot. I like he has some neat little passes around the defenders, finding some players in the box. And Chavez, I thought, immediately made a great impact because that was the first game he started, but immediately made a great impact. He had a great ball down the line to Gallardo. Um, and also, I don't think we're seeing Mateo Chavez again. He had a poor game.
I mean,
And
I hate it though. Like he's Mexico's number one in the future.
uh-huh.
Uh, just it's unfortunate that this is his first opportunity with the first team, right? And like really high stakes games in the Gold Cup. Um, right now, start Gallardo, but
Mhm.
moving forward beyond this, I think by the time the World Cup comes around, I think it needs to be Mateo Chavez, and he'll
Agreed.
turn it
I
around.
think
He'll turn it
I think
around.
he needs to just calm down. He had a few times where he could have gotten carded for some stupid,
Mm,
just losing his cool. He needs to cool down a little bit. But he's young. I think he has time. Like you said, I think at some point, if his development keeps going at this pace, he'll look great. Along with Hugo Hescas on the other side. I think those are some
yeah.
great fullback options, but they kind of need to grow into their own. And for now, Gallardo, I like him. I think he's good. I think he's a great attacking fullback for sure. I'm not a huge fan of Jorge Sanchez. I don't really see his impact too much, but but I mean he's a better attacker than Israel Reyes, so I guess that's why they went with him.
Mm,
But
yeah.
anyways, I think overall I like the way the Mexico play, and I really do think that if they find together that kind of flowing attacking football that we know them that they can be, that we see a dangerous team, and the only equal is maybe Canada. So, and what a final that would be, huh? I would love to see
Oh
that.
my
Yeah.
goodness. My goodness. I guess we'll see what happens, huh? I guess we'll see what
Oof,
happens.
we'll see. We'll
Obviously,
see.
it is not over for this team. Hopefully, anytime soon. They have at least till Saturday. And before that game happens, we will
Mm.
have a preview and predictions video for you guys coming out before then. So make sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If you are, make sure check the bell right now. If notifications are on, so you will know when that video gets released, and you can be one of the first people to interact with us in the comments down below. But let us know your thoughts on how your team played in this group. Of course, stick around for more videos in the next coming weeks for the Gold Cup. That's going to be it. My name is Elijah. I'm with Diego per usual, and hopefully see you guys in future videos. Take care.